And I'm gonna try it just without anything first. I am making bread today, but will it taste good? That's the big question here. If you watch my videos, you know that I'm trying to cut down on calories and just to limit my intake. But I love bread, so what is one to do? Eat a very little amount of bread, or to come up with a bread that has less calories, but still it must taste good, or I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna eat cardboard. So a quarter cup of flour is 110 calories. That makes a cup 440 calories, and you need 3 cups to make a loaf of bread. I'm trying to come up with a way to limit the calories so I can have bigger servings. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be substituting some of the flour with oat fiber. But this is not oat flour. This is oat fiber, which is totally different, and it virtually doesn't have any calories. But they kind of trick you because they say 1 teaspoon is a serving and that has 0 calories. I did look it up, and what it comes out to be is a cup of this actually comes out to be about 25 calories. So for today's experiment, we're going to use 2 cups of flour, and 1 cup of oat fiber. Now, I did use oat fiber before when I was on the low carb wagon many years ago, and I actually had a 5-pound bag of oat fiber that I just threw out yesterday because it doesn't last long. The most you can store this a year, so start out with a small bag. I would recommend, because I had a 5-pound bag and I hardly used up a pound maybe, and I used it quite a bit. So we're gonna use a cup of this, and as the name dictates, it's all fiber, so definitely should have a lot of benefits from that area, right? It's gonna clean you out. Okay, so that's a cup of oat fiber. And then from here, everything is the same as usual. A big pinch of salt. Mix this up. And I'm gonna use a generous tablespoon of yeast. Yeah, that's about a tablespoon and a half yeast. As usual, we'll just dissolve it in water. We'll see. I think we're gonna need an extra water because this fiber soaks up a lot of water. So you see how dry this is? So I'm gonna measure out another half cup. See if this is gonna be enough. Put a little more. I think because it's gonna be standing and proofing, it will soak up more water. I never tried making yeast bread out of oat fibers. I used it for other applications with baking soda and baking powder, but I never tried with yeast. So, okay, I think that's enough water. So I almost used up a cup and a half water. I'm gonna knead this as usual. Okay, I kneaded this for about 3 minutes and my arms are noodles. So I'm gonna stop right here. It's still sticky, but what I'm thinking is that as it sits around, it will hydrate the oat fiber and it's gonna be less sticky. So I'm gonna cover it with a tea towel and I'm gonna let it rise for about half an hour. It's been actually an hour because time ran away from me, but here's the risotto. So at this point, the only thing we have to focus on is shaping it, and I'm gonna bake it in this loaf pan. I did put a little bit of parchment paper here, so if it gets too sticky, I can get it out. So that's how it looks like, which is still gonna expand, and I don't mind that it's kind of round and it's gonna be oval either way. It's not gonna be square. Just cut it in a couple of places so it can expand more. And I'm just gonna cover it again. We'll check on this in about another 30 minutes. I have the oven on 375, and this is what my bread looks like after another half an hour of rising. What I'm gonna do is put this in, and I have a quarter cup of water or so. I'm gonna splash that into the oven to create some steam. And I'm gonna bake this for about 40 minutes. I have to cook this for a whole hour. So I'm gonna try the oat fiber bread for my breakfast. So one thing I noticed is that even though I baked it for over an hour, it almost like it's still raw, sort of in the middle. So I don't know how long you have to bake it or if you have to bake it on a higher temperature. So I ended up toasting it. And I'm gonna try it just without anything first. It kind of tastes like cardboardy and doughy. And the crust is very hard. I think I still can eat this with the butter and the ham, make it into a sandwich. So one of these slices is 90 calories. So it's a nice hearty bread. Would I make it again the same way? No. I think the most I would do is just add the oat fiber to have fiber in my bread, but I would reduce the amount that I put into the bread, probably from 1 cup to just about a quarter cup, the most, just again to add fiber. But I don't think it's a good way of making the bread to substitute flour with oat fiber. That's my final verdict. See you next time.